Good morning, welcome to the Lowry for the fourth and final day of the University of Salford graduation. Today the congregation is gathered to give special congratulations to distinguished graduates. There will be 3 ceremonies today in which students from the School of Nursing and the School of Healthcare Professions will receive their degrees. Later on in the 3rd ceremony, the Chief Executive of A National Voice, Maxine Wrigley, will receive an honorary award. Now in just a few moments, students from the School of Nursing will be presented to the Pro Vice-Chancellor, Mr. Michael Garrity. Each graduate will receive their certificate, along with a limited edition print by acclaimed Salford artist, Harold Riley. Most graduates from the School of Nursing work for the NHS as nursing practitioners or specialist nurses. Some also work in private organisations within the health sector. Well, the procession's just about to begin, so stay with us and I'll be back soon.
I declare this congregation open to present awards at the University of Salford. Pro-Chancellor, honoured guests, ladies and gentlemen, and colleagues, and most importantly, our graduands. Welcome to this magnificent theatre here in the Lowry complex for your, you might argue, belated graduation ceremony. This ceremony marks the culmination and a rite of passage after many years of hard work and sustained efforts by our students and those who have supported them, their parents, partners, and in some instances, their children. At our open days for prospective students, we have also noticed the growing presence of another important family member, namely grandparents. As one of my sceptical colleagues was heard to comment, this group of people are the only ones with any money. I'm not sure how true that is, but if there are any grandparents here today, and I'm sure there must be, then you are doubly welcome. As one myself, we need to keep the flag flying. Embarking upon a university education has always been a serious undertaking and continues to require much thought and a realization that this will not be an easy journey. Under the influence of central government, the media, and peer pressure, a growing number of people, and the not-so-young people, are beginning to feel that there is no option but to go to university. A university education is not a necessity for all, and while there is evidence that the majority of graduates will earn more than those without a degree over a lifetime of employment, the research is yet to be completed which indicates that the former group are any happier or content with their lifestyle than the latter. One of the major issues that bedevils higher education at the present is the debate concerning the nature of education itself. Is education an end in itself, or simply a means to an end? A means to a good job, the potential to earn more money, or the opportunity to a more fulfilled life? The answers are not clear-cut. Life never is and never will be that simple. However, if the means to an end argument becomes the dominant force, then students and universities may become the losers. Evidence would suggest that the majority of our students, more than 7 out of 10, come to this university to improve their job prospects. And that is not a bad motive in itself. But if it is the only or the most prominent driving force, then I would contend that this presents problems both for students and the university. Learning can be a painful business because it can open us up to aspects of ourselves that we may wish to have remained hidden. For myself, I liken this to my attempts at marathon running. And please don't laugh. When I was much younger than I am today, I had an aspiration that I would complete the marathon in under 3 hours. I trained hard, ate the correct diet, and spent hours pounding the pavements, much to my wife's disgust. But no matter how hard I tried, I could not break 3.5 hours. And after one marathon, when I was closer to 4 hours rather than 3.5, I threw my trainers into the dustbin in anger. I had to learn to live with my academic limitations the hard way, to appreciate the process rather than the outcome, and to realize that completing a marathon is an achievement in itself. Studying for a degree or a diploma has similar constraints. If the eye is always on the outcome, then the process becomes a grind rather than being enjoyed for itself. The challenge for this and other universities is to make learning both a challenge and at the same time an exciting and an enjoyable experience. These challenges are becoming increasingly public as the omnipresent league tables are there for all to see and read. Coming into the Lowry today, you could hardly fail to notice the construction work that is going on apace outside. Media City is starting to take shape. A significant proportion of the BBC will be moving to Salford in 2011 and is thus creating a modern multimedia broadcast and production centre on this site. Salford University is planning an ambassadorial presence alongside the BBC at Salford Quays. This represents a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for the university, and we have just signed a partnership agreement with the BBC which will open up new pathways to employment, and maybe enjoyment too, in the growing media industry and to the development of new talent across the region. We are also involved in a major master planning process on the main campus, which will result in significant construction work over the next 10 years and possibly beyond. Students are clearly drawn to attractive campuses as well as by the academic quality on offer. We need to improve the former whilst ensuring the latter. This future for the University of Salford is going to be a challenge. But what would life be without a little grit? Certainly no pearls would be produced, and we would be the poorer. July 2008 saw the 60th anniversary of the NHS. Good publicity, mediocre publicity, and some bad publicity. With the first NHS hospital, Trafford General, being just across the Manchester Ship Canal. The School of Nursing has a significant presence in this NHS, with 50% of the 3-year programme undertaken in clinical practice. Our students have access to nearly 500 different practice placements, within which this clinical learning is facilitated. Without these facilities, there would be no graduates here today, and we therefore thank our clinical colleagues for their continuing work and their involvement in these crucial programmes. This year has seen a welcome increase in the number of people applying to undertake pre-registration education, with some 60% of these applicants coming from people over the age of 25. If memory serves me right, this then places them into the mature category, at least as far as their bursaries are concerned. The school has a growing research profile, working on a number of projects with partners across the UK and Europe. The research focuses on 3 areas relating to child and family, patient experience and education, and workforce development. This research not only informs clinical practice, but also feeds into curriculum development and the overall improvement of the student experience. The school continues to work with other organisations in the local community and has undertaken some 35 projects with various health and non-health organisations on such activities as direct skills, consultancy for organisational change, and service delivery effectiveness. I have the same effects on my own grandchildren, don't worry. The school continues to develop a national and an international reputation for development, delivery, and the evaluation of nurse education. Amongst its staff, it has 2 editors and 3 assistant editors of high-impact international journals, and over 30% of the staff are members of national, professional, regulatory and government bodies concerned with promoting high-quality healthcare. Well, graduates, this is your day to celebrate and hopefully to reflect on how a degree programme and a diploma programme here at Salford has enabled you to fit into the world of the NHS, and also to reflect on your changes to yourself, those you meet on a daily basis, and the world beyond your normal daily experiences. Have you accepted that there are many different ways of looking at the world? And have you come to the disquieting conclusion that no one person, least of all yourself, has all or any of the right answers? Hopefully some, though. A brief personal story. As a much younger person, I too was a student nurse. And yes, I did learn a great deal from lectures, seminars and practical sessions within the School of Nursing. Most of this learning and the impact that it had on my development is now rather vague, if not non-existent. However, the majority of the learning that has stayed with me was gained by experience in clinical practice, from watching, listening, and doing, but most of all from listening to the patients. I can remember vividly one very old Jewish gentleman who one evening chided me when I was a second-year student nurse at Ancoats Hospital. He informed me that in his opinion I had the makings of a good nurse, but I spent far too much time rushing around and getting the physical tasks achieved with little or no conversation with the patients. How did I respond to this advice, to this guidance? Initially, I thought, silly old fool, what does he know? But as I cycled home the next morning, I thought he may have a point. And the next night, I decided to slow down a little and to spend more time talking to the patients. The reward that I received was information about lives lived and knowledge accumulated through experiences that I would never experience. I could, but I won't, bore you forever with the stories that patients have told me. In academic circles, we now call these stories narratives, and at long last, these narratives are beginning to seriously inform government policy regarding changes in health and social care policy, and are the basis of much research. And what of this old Jewish gentleman? He was a survivor of the Holocaust. He played the flute in the conscripted orchestra that, in inverted commas, welcomed people entering the concentration camp. Somehow he survived, and after the war came to England, where he eventually became the principal flautist with the Halley Orchestra. When, many years later, I visited Auschwitz-Birkenau, in my mind's eye, I could picture the scene that he had so vividly described to me. I learnt as much from that old man as I did from any number of textbooks and journal articles. Dare I say, not to downplay the importance of such books. And as a result, I have strived, and not always successfully during my life, to see the points of views of others, even though I do not necessarily agree with them. To your relatives and friends, without whose support this journey may never have been achieved, on behalf of the university and the graduands, many thanks. Graduands, do not underestimate their sacrifices, concerns, and worries when the going was a little troubled for you. I am frequently left wondering who is the proudest on days like today, the graduands or their relatives. I know from personal experience that I obtain more satisfaction from the achievements of my children than I ever have from my own. To the parents, the relatives and friends, I hope you tell these graduands that level of proudness on a regular basis, and I hope the graduands believe you. And finally, to the graduands, whether you are masters, bachelors, or diplomats, this is a day that marks a significant stage in your life of learning. I do know for the last 9 months or so, you've also been engaging in further learning within clinical practice. And I'm sure that learning has been important. I would encourage you not to rest upon your laurels. For as Florence Nightingale said, to stagnate, you only have to stand still. And that was in the Victorian age, when the pace of life was a little slower than it is today. So do not stagnate, but equally do not run too quickly, or you may burn out. Taking my 2 Yorkshire Terriers for a walk a few weeks ago, I was listening on my earphones to Desert Island Discs, and the castaway that morning was Lord Darcy, the eminent surgeon who's been brought in by the government to assist in further thinking about how the organisation of NHS care ought to be delivered. But the one word that I remembered from Lord Darcy's interview was change, and the development of good change starts at the bedside. No amount of government policy, no amount of government interference can actually change the significant aspects of what nurses, doctors and healthcare professions do with their patients closest to the bed, the clinic, the home. And don't forget that. You have a tremendous power for change. Sometimes as nurses we say, well, what can we do? After all, we're only nurses. If I had £1 for every time somebody had told me they were only a nurse, I'd be a rich man by now. You are nurses. And it's important that you take that with you into your clinical practice and do not be frightened to fight the battle when the battle needs to be fought. Remember the words of William Shakespeare from Henry V, Act 4. Every subject's duty is the king's, but every subject's soul is her or his own. Wherever your personal or professional journey takes you, be true to your own personal ethic whilst honouring your contact with the workplace. Keep in touch with the university through the alumni office. You are now our best ambassadors. Frightening thought. And we wish to hear from you. We wish to hear about your successes. And we wish to hear your views on how the University of Salford can improve for subsequent generations of student nurses. Once again, my sincere congratulations to all our graduands on your success to date, and best wishes for your future personal and professional achievements. And if you do need to paint the town red or blue again this evening, enjoy yourselves. Thank you very much indeed.
Vice-Chancellor, on behalf of the School of Nursing, I present for the award of Master of Philosophy, Jacqueline Elizabeth Ashton. Ladies and gentlemen, undergraduate students will be presented for their awards in groups of 3. I would be grateful if applause could take place after the final name in each group of 3 is announced. For the award of Bachelor of Science with Honours, Acute Childcare, David Andrew Allwood. Julie Gallagher. Kathleen Margaret Hillary. Anne Jane Hunter. Yasmin Karam. Amanda Jane Millard. Joanne Rachel O'Grady. Janet Sidebottom. Jennifer Kate Thorpe. the award of Bachelor of Science with Honours Adult Nursing, Helen Barrow. Alison Jane Hoare. And Alison Samantha Humes. Elizabeth Sarah Ormerod. Alison Louise Walker. Amanda Elizabeth Warwick. And for the award of Bachelor of Science with Honours Community and Public Health Studies, Anne Denise Carney. Julie Ann Gallagher. And Tina Granell. And Andrea Jones. The Bachelor of Science with Honours Nursing Adult Branch, Lorraine Abbott. Shamila Akram. And Susan Atruyan. Colleen Tracy Barker. Gillian Jean Barton. Emma Louise Bell. Hayley Shade Carrington. Rachel Mary Chitty. Neville Keith Clark. Christina Cotgrave. Suzanne Louise Douglas. Josephine Dunn. Vanessa Fairhurst. Stuart Frame. Tracy Gerard. Louise Hankinson. Sarah Marianne Hurd. And Rachel Louise Pogg. Estella May Johnson. Joyce Jones. And Tracy Louise Kirk. Helen Langton. And Amanda Louise Littler. Roseanne Lysart. Tiwongi Magagna. Zinit Masgood. Titsi Mercy Mashong Yang Yaka. Tracy Jane Mills. Paula Michelle Morrell. Jenna Louise Moss, Patience Shipro Moyo, and Mandy Neal. Louise Nutt, Sarah Ogden, and Joe Simon Palmer. Gwendolyn Park, Michelle Margaret Pemberton, Chloe Sarah Rance, Alicia Rial, Jenny Claire Riley, and Karen Robinson. For Bachelor of Science with Honours Nursing Child Health, Pooja Natasha Bassi. Amanda Jane Boardman. And Lauren Claire Burton. Zoe Leanne Dobson. Susan Carol Davey. Charlotte Isabel France. Michaela Louise Grimes. Emma Marie Herbert. And Rebecca Claire Hayworth. Joanne Hill. Claire Holden. Laura Elizabeth Holland. Lisa Murray. Francesca Maria Seddon. Emma Marie Taylor. Karen Linda Taylor. Claire Whittaker. Bachelor of Science with Honours Nursing Mental Health, Emma Louise Boner. Rebecca Burke. Lisa Jane Colton. Kerry McKeenery. Vanessa Sharfors. Louise Angela Simpson. Lisa Maria Sloan. For Bachelor of Science with Honours Nursing Studies, Deborah Marie Bell. Beverly Bowie. Jennifer Ann Carden. Hotak Hilda Shan. Samantha Jane Crofts. Dawn Crompton. Joan Ann Curry. Karen Ann Hassel. Sharon Hume. Sharon Marie Johnson. Helen Gale Joy. And Catherine Lee. Nicola Janita McNichols. Elizabeth Ann Moore. Jeanette Bernadette Moores. Wendy Louise Morrison. Abigail Menduya. Rachel Ogden. Honor Pendlebury. Maria Peridruck. And Anita Tibbs. Jennifer Ann Tootle. Alexandria Jane Williams. Serena Kirsty Williams. Natalie Louise Wood. Bachelor of Science with Honours, Professional Studies, Nursing Healthcare, Rosanna Louise Harridan. Bachelor of Science with Honours, Therapeutic Interventions, Lakshmi Mishra Bengra. Lynn Marie Gelher. Simon Ellis Johns. Nurskrat Khan. And Rachel Allison Rain. Jane Mary Taylor. Bachelor of Science, Ordinary Healthcare, Gavinette Kaur. Diploma of Higher Education, Nursing, Adult Nursing, Andrew James Ashton. Eleanor Barker. And Danielle Barlow. Shamia Begum. Karen Marie Boland. And Danielle Marie Bradley. Matthew James Thompson Brearley. Lisa Shannon. Stephen Andrew Clark. Helen Connolly. Sasha Elise Connor. Lisa Daly. Emma Dawson. Dion Dervin. Susan Dooley. Mary Haley Dunbar. Rebecca Jane Dunn. And Charlene Ellison. Anne-Marie Elt. Emma Jane Fletcher. Samantha Joanne Garth. Rachel Ann George. Jenna Nicole Goodhue. And Joanne Grocott. Amanda Gwither. Pauline May Hamlet. Helen Louise Hill. Ruth Hogan. Janet Marie Hope. And Amy Houlihan. Samir Hiram. Angela Louise Joannidi. Maria Grace Kellett. Matilda Isaac Kilburn. Adele Lee. Alexandria Linster. Dawn Margaret Miles. Tracy Michelle Mines. Andrea Mort. Simbili Constance Moyo. Denise Elizabeth Molyneux. Rosie Musa. And Violetta Gladys Newby. Louise Jane Nixon. Christopher David O'Longan. Lee Adam O'Gorman. Kerry Catherine Marie Pridden. Chrissy Emma Elizabeth Rollo. Jenny Teresa Salmon. Lindsay Ann Seville. Amanda Jane Shirley. Hayley Ann Sybottom. Andrea Maria Sims. Maria Smart. Helen Elizabeth Smith. Colleen Margaret Stonehouse. Mark Anthony Street. Rebecca Helen Towson. Janine Warburton. Kaylee Laura Waring. Gemma Warren. Jennifer Ann Weston. Stephen Mark Williams. Diploma of Higher Education Nursing, Child Health, Lucy Jane Bamprin. Katie Louise Banner. Wing Ying Chang. Sarah Jane Cosgrove. Rachel Louise Derbyshire. Emma Diggle. Michael Ellison. Emma Fagan. Kim Gary. Helen Godfrey. Leanne Granger. Kate Louise Halliwell. Alexander Johnson. Samantha Jane Kenyon. Claire Louise Naylor. Amy Joanne Nixon. Leanne Knoll. Rebecca Louise Norris. Catherine Frances Owens. Deborah Ann Page. Marie Celia Pancaro. Janine Patricia Lillian Payne. Gemma Louise Pickles. And Sarah Rigby. Katie Lee Riley. Emily Jane Rimmer. Catherine Sophie Roberts. Leanne Catherine Roche. Robert John Smith. Eleanor Catherine Stracy. Maria Leslie Strickland. Katrina Tagg. Katie Louise Taylor. Elizabeth Wall Malcolmson. Laura Ann Warburton. Claire Emma Whitehead. Kirsty Ann Wiggins. And Anna Stephanie Wilson. Laura Worf. Angela Heather Woods. Diploma of Higher Education, Nursing, Mental Health. Justin Benjamin. Karen Campbell.
Well done, Justin. Congratulations. Well done.
Emma Rose Louise Kerry.
Well done, Karen.
Pandaway Jacqueline Jacovinia.
Both of them.
Mike Chendambuya.
Very well done.
Stephen Paul Denny. Simon John Edge. Amanda Louise Eisen. Melanie Rachel Fanshaw. Susan Griffiths. Lindsay Dawn Palmer. Vicky Luann Howarth.
That was one, Lisa.
Michelle Jamie Leonard. Muzinge Mafenda Moyo. Catherine Mary McKenna. Daniel Michael McKennell. Angela Moore. Judith Masambia. Sekumzu Nube. Sowana Newby. Rachel Louise Osborne. Tenji Nu Enluvu. Winnie Pagnetti. Joanne Rain. Caroline Elizabeth Taylor. Barbara Julie Thrush. Sandra Travis. Rachel Walker. Linda Wilson. Louise Worley. And Colin Zinkali. Diploma of Higher Education, Community Nursing, Nicola Jane Collins. Debbie Ann Lamb. Diploma of Higher Education, Nursing Studies, Mary Catherine Brown. Victoria Jane Buckingham. Emma Jane Christie. Gillian Wright Johnson Hill. Janice Gale Cressel. Christine Margaret McCulloch. Lynn Robinson. Sharon Mary Townsend. Rosinda Turner. Jane Louise Vinnie. Andrea Michelle Woodcock. Certificate of Higher Education Healthcare, Susan Beverly Broom.
I wonder if you could join me in one final round of applause for all our graduates today. Graduands, you may now put on your hats. I now declare this congregation closed.
Well, that just about concludes our first session here in the Lyric Theatre. Later this afternoon, more graduates from the School of Nursing and the School of Healthcare Professionals will receive their awards. Join me just before 1:15.